So,
Just in case I curse.
well, you can curse. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Cursing aloud, cursing in coverage.
Yeah, we're adults. We're adults. Anybody watching with their kids, they know me. Hey there, what do you say there, world? Welcome to another episode of the Racers Recap. We are back and we are doing it. The COVID can't keep us down. We kicked it back old school, going all the way back to season 1. Since nobody has ever recapped season 1, we figured we would do it. We are old school vets. So we brought in OG joining us on the show since none of my co-hosts are here. We have Irish Kevon O'Connor. How are you, bro?
I'm doing good, Justin. I'm doing good. I'm the new co-host.
Yes, I love it. I'm keeping that bald. If you only bald host from
Right.
now on.
Only good haircuts on this show.
That's right. We have this little spot. If you're watching it, there is a little spot in the upper corner over here. That's where Joey's gonna pop up when he pops back up, and our buddy Kev won't be so zoomed in as well. So. Figured we'd kick it off since Joey's having technical difficulties. Actually, in the meantime, let me just let me zoom in on you since Joey's not here. There you go. There you go. Get that face in there. All right. So since they're not here, we'll get started. We'll get some juice out of the way. There's a lot of things that you were privy to. You were in the first season. So one of the questions I like to ask is, how the hell did you find out about the show? This is the first season of the race. Were you an actor of some sort or looking in the pages? How'd you find it?
Justin, the way that we found it, so Drew and I were both really big season 1 Survivor fans. Right, so big fans of that first Survivor season. When Richard Hatch won, it was on the front cover of every newspaper, like in the United States, probably some overseas as well. So we were huge fans of the show then. So we laughed about saying like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we were both on Survivor, if we were both on the same season, which we knew would never happen. And then I was reading the Daily News, my hometown newspaper, and they had an article in the entertainment section that said CBS has just bought a show. It's called, I think back then it was called the Summer Adventure Series. And Les Moonves said during the press conference that it's going to be like Survivor on steroids. And so the best part about it was for teams of 2. So I told Drew, I'm like, look, dude, we had talked about doing Survivor together. Now we can do Survivor on steroids together. So we got to get in on this show. So we both went to the internet. We downloaded the application, which, as you know, is like 20 pages long. And you have to like give like all the detailed, most intimate details of your life to them to find out whether or not you're going to make good TV. And then you have to do your video. So we did our video in Drew's kitchen. His then fiance was holding the camera, and we had to do it like 3 or 4 times over because she kept shaking. She was laughing so hard at us, like just sitting at the table doing our shtick. And so we sent it all in, and they invited us in, and we did, went through the interview process, and then they said, look, we really like you guys. We're going to have you come out to LA, and you go out and you're there for 10 days in lockdown, kind of quarantine, if you will. And so we went through the final auditions, met all of the producers, all the executives, eventually got to meet face-to-face with Les. And then they told us, hey, listen, we want you guys to come. And we were like, get the hell out of here, really? So it was a huge, huge thing. But it all just came out of me reading the newspaper and making Drew, get to work and saying, hey, look, you got to fill out this application. We have to do this video.
The newspaper! You found it in the newspaper. Nobody does that nowadays. That's so crazy.
Oh, keep in mind, this was the year 2000, right? Because, so Hatch won, I guess, the summer of 2000, and then in the fall of 2000, the article appeared, and then we started the audition process in early 2001, and then we traveled in March of 2001.
Wow. That's so cool. Welcome, Joe. How's everything? You all right, bro?
A couple problems. I'm about to blast this thing, and it's going to get...
I'll say something. I'm having mad technical difficulties. I might be a little hungover from yesterday.
Wicked technical difficulty.
It's wicked hard. How do you use this
Here
thing?
I
It's
am at my Nantucket palatial estate right next to Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. There you go. Go ahead. He can teach you some spying techniques. All right, we're going to get this kicked off. Joey will catch up at some point. Just like school, we got to leave Joey behind. All right, let's kick it off and get into the recap, and then we can get into some juicy stuff. I got a chance to talk to Kev a little bit before while we were waiting, and he's got some really good stuff that we will get into. So make sure that you tell everybody that he is on the show right now. Well, I'll give you a second. Like it, subscribe it, share it, do whatever, tweet it, Facebook it. Tell everybody they do not want to miss this. We got some inside scoop, and some of it has to do with Boston Rob because our buddy got to spend 3 weeks with him in Sequester. So he's got a lot of scoop on B-Rob. Yeah. Including, I can't wait till he tells you. All right. So anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So let's start this one off. We are in Italy, and we're going to be heading to India. This is Season 1, Leg 11. And it starts off like the past couple episodes have started off with a Guido bitch fest. Everybody is complaining about the Guidos. Nobody likes them, and then boom, it cuts to the Guidos, and he's like, as well as we play the game, the temperature is only going to keep going up. And I'm like, oh my God. They're not even balls to the wall yet. It's going to get worse. What do you think about the Guidos? This is your first time watching, Joey. This is his first time watching through. He doesn't know how it ends, so don't spoil it. So don't spoil it, Kev.
I at the beginning, can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah.
It's okay. It's not good, but it's okay.
So at the beginning, I liked them. They seemed very personable. Like I said, Kevin and Drew reminded me of Scott and Mike from 25. Scott's a very good friend of mine, so I really like them. But yeah, I remember when I told you I started watching it with my mother. There's her, and she's watching it. And this is only 5 weeks ago I started watching this. So she's only seen my season, and that's it. So she lives in my in-law apartment. I go downstairs to do the laundry, and then she's over there. This is 2 days later. She's on season 5 or something. She blew right through everything, and she's like, those Guidos are sons of bitches. They're just sons of bitches what they do to everyone. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're fine. And I'm watching it. We're up to Italy, and I'm like, these guys are sons of bitches. And I'm telling you, I like them. They're great people. And, we all got these edits, every single one of us.
Yeah, we're talking about their tar edit. We're not talking about them as people.
Right. Everyone says it's my edit. It's you. Somewhere along the line, you did or said that.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
It may not have been at that time because of Frankenbites, but
yeah, but still, I mean, you can see clearly, and there's some stuff. I'm so sorry I missed the last 2 weeks because when I was catching up, I'm like, I want to talk about this.
You can catch up. Go for it.
As we go along, I'm just gonna stop blasting, lose my shit, grab a beer, and then throw it out the window.
Nice. All right, make sure we get that, and we'll clip it and go viral. That's the way we do it around here, Joey. Yeah, we're gonna use it to our advantage. All right, so let's see. Frank and Margarita are first to depart at 3:30 in the morning, so they're not getting that big of an advantage. They open their clue, and the clue says detour and fast forward. Boom, right there. As soon as you open the first clue, I don't know if that happens anymore. It's usually like, route info to take you to a place that gets you a clue. But this one is boom, detour, fast forward right from the start. The detour, you got choices of glide or ride. In glide, teams have to make their way to the Aero Club and ride the motorless glider plane. And after they finish the task, the team will be led to the railway station in a free taxi. The catch is it's first come, first serve. You have to wait if somebody gets ahead of you. In ride, teams have to ride a bike 8 kilometers from a bike shop to a railway station, follow a street map, find the next clue, and unlike glide, there are enough bikes for everybody. However, it's 5 miles long, Joey, just in case you were trying to do the math. It's 5 miles while having to navigate through themselves to the train station, and it's physically more demanding. So, Joseph, where are you going?
With my partner Tara, we're gonna bike all day because she speaks Italian. She's been to Italy a bunch of times. She was stationed in Italy, and I can read a map like nobody's business. So, and when they were doing the little clips of the glider, you could see somebody's head like on the commercial just keep going. I'm like, those sons of bitches did the glider. I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. So when making the decisions, Kev, what was the decision maker? What was the thing that made you pick one over the other?
So I'm trying to remember. I mean, I think we probably left fourth. Maybe that I don't remember exactly when.
You left fourth at 4:36. You were 35 minutes behind the leaders.
All right, there you go. So I told Drew, I'm like, look, we know already we're definitely not going to be number one for gliding, right? And unless they had multiple gliders, which we figured that they wouldn't, we knew it's going to be something where there's a lot of administration getting into the glider, getting safety precautions, blah, blah, blah. By the time the plane takes you up and you get gliding, and now you got to glide all the way back down, not like a paper airplane, but you got to come down, and then there's administration getting you out of the thing and hook back up. I told him, I said, you know what, dude, it's going to be a long time. I'm like, let's do the bikes. But the bikes didn't open for a couple hours. So he said, you know what? I think other people are going to try the bikes. Let's go for the glider. I knew we wouldn't be number one for the glider, but I figured, all right, 2 or 3 or whatever. And if it took a few hours, well, then that's okay, because I knew the bikes didn't go for a few hours. So it's kind of like, all right. So we get there, and I remember very clearly, Rob and Brett, we saw one car in the parking lot, and we saw a couple of nudniks out in the field where the glider was. And we couldn't tell who exactly it was, but when we got out, we knew it was Rob and Brennan. And what was crazy was Rob and Brennan were waiting kind of like over here, right? And they'd say, okay, we're here first. But there was a very clearly marked flag over here, and nobody saw it. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye and kind of whispered to Drew, dude, they're at the wrong spot. We should run over to the other spot and just argue that we're the first ones online, because that's where it said, that was the flag, but they were all the way over here. So we got into it with the producers a little bit, and we said, look, these guys, they're waiting over here. I don't know what they're waiting for, but right here is where the gliding goes. And they were like, guys, no, they're first, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like, we were like, listen, like, we get it. It's a technicality, but at the same time, it's a race for $1 million. And so if you're standing out in the middle of the field waiting for a glider to fall on your head, well, then maybe that's a good spot. But I want to go where the flag is that says, look, this is where the glider is going to take off from, and who's ever standing here is first in line. Nonetheless, they get to go first. So they get to go first, and we're down on the bottom. We're watching them do the gliding, and all the time, we're like, all right, how long is it going to take? Speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. And then we got to go second.
How long do you think it took?
Shit.
From takeoff to landing?
If I had to guess, 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Wow. So you have to wait 45 minutes per team. Jesus.
Yeah. And there was nobody behind us. Everybody else went to the bikes. So,
Wow.
So it's kind of like, all right, well, I don't know what to do with that, but we actually enjoyed the time together, because we were out on the field, and it was just the 4 of us, and we probably made fun of the Guidos for like a solid hour or 2.
Bonding over the.
At that point in time, it was all just roast the Guidos as much as you can. So we did, and we came up. I mean, you heard on TV the nicknames we had for them, Bert and Ernie. We called them.
That's awesome.
And so we were just, we were like talking about, like, what are they going to do? They're going to get to the bikes. They're going to complain that the bike, isn't this, isn't that, it doesn't fit, whatever. So we did that for a solid hour or 2. And then the sun came up, and then the guy comes with the glider. And as you saw in the episode, it's this old guy. I mean, he's 100 years old.
70-something from what somebody said. 70.
From what Drew asked him, I guess, how old he was.
Yeah.
So I referred to him as Uncle Junior, because back then, the Sopranos was like so big, and that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, dude, you're going in a glider with Uncle Junior. and like, hope you make it back because otherwise you're not going to be able to make it to the end of this. So,
That's
so he
great.
goes up, and him and Uncle Junior go up, and they do the gliding, and then Rob and Brendan are gone, and we have to wait for the other 45 minutes. So it was, it was. I think it was still the right decision to go that route, but nonetheless, it was something that took a little bit of time, and I don't remember exactly what. I don't remember exactly when we went from there. Maybe this is. I don't want to jump ahead of you. When we left the glider, we went next to something.
You're asking me, or do you want
I
me
was
to?
gonna say we all agree we went somewhere after the glider.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forget where it was. Did we go right to the train station from the glider?
You
Yes.
guys? Yes.
Yeah.
We did, right.
Yes.
And so now we start to catch up to other people, right?
Yep.
Now, am I allowed? It's not spoiler alert. Is it spoiler alert?
No,
where I go-
there's no spoiler alert. I mean, you could just, I could just kind of take us there, and you could pick up.
You take us there.
I'll take
Wait,
us.
let me ask a quick question.
Yeah,
though.
go
I got a
for it.
question.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple episodes back, when you all were at the airport, you were all there, and the Gweeds come in, and they just caught the whole line and went up and started handling everything. I was pulling my hair out, going, "Why isn't someone grabbing him by the belt and the shirt collar and throwing him to the back of the line? How come they jumped you, but you couldn't jump Brennan and Rob?"
Uh-oh.
So this was like, if you remember correctly, there was probably like 2 sections of the show was about us in the airport trying to figure out where we're gonna go next.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Guidos are all pissy because they're not going to be on the first flight out. And so now they're trying, to their credit, they're trying to figure out, well, how do I screw these guys up to the point where maybe they miss their flight?
Oh, no, not that. Not that. This is back when I think you guys were still in France. And he got everybody tickets and he was giving out the tickets to everybody. You remember that? Because he spoke French.
Yeah,
I was
he
like,
he
wait
was
a minute.
speaking French, and he got the tickets for everybody, and everybody was have to wait for him to like divvy out the tickets and.
Yes, this is where, right, this is when we were in France
Yep.
and we were going
Yeah.
to Tunisia. We were going on the cruise boat.
Yeah, and I was like, Marguerite speaks French too. Why didn't you guys tell them to go fuck themselves?
Listen, we did. We told them to go fuck themselves multiple times throughout the show. Of course, it didn't air as such, but we tell them multiple times. But in this particular case, I don't remember why all of a sudden we elected him to be the leader. But it wasn't as if they were going to get a jump on anybody.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they got the nice room versus everybody else, but I mean, it didn't matter. We were all on the same cruise ship, right? Which
Right.
kind of is something that I think CBS wanted. They didn't want anybody to be that far ahead,
Right.
because then it makes it difficult for them, and it's not an interesting story. So we're all on the boat together, and it
Sure.
was fun, and we hung out, and we had dinner and drinks, and did all the fun stuff. So it wasn't a bad ride at all. We actually enjoyed it.
Okay. Moving on.
All right, so everybody, I mean, there's not really too much that changes when people do this. You get in a glider and you just do it. There's not really a skill to it. You just get in and just enjoy the ride. The bicycle riding was a little more skillful. People, can get lost here and there and trying to find ways to get to and from places, but blah, blah, blah. We can cut to Frank and Margarita, who are in the lead here, and they decide to keep their lead, and they go straight for the fast forward. Obviously, this is back when there was fast forwards on every single leg of the race. And for the fast forward, all they had to do was travel to this castle and search around a moat for the fast forward, which was kind of stuck in a wall. Really not too dramatic, not really that difficult.
There was nothing terribly difficult about what they did.
Yeah.
Distance?
First,
Was it a
right?
long way to travel to it?
That was it. They had to get in the boat and just kind of row around.
No, from where you picked up the fast forward clue envelope, was it a far distance from there to?
Oh no,
where that
it wasn't far at all.
really?
No, it wasn't. But no, it wasn't. But given the fact that they had such a jump on everybody coming out of the fast forward,
Yeah.
that time, so you knew kind of like, okay, they're gonna go there, and so it wasn't worth chasing it down. But as it turns out, it was. I would say in all of the fast forwards, ours was probably second because we didn't have to go down into the sewers of France, Paris. But in terms of time, them getting that fast forward was probably the most brilliant thing for them because they went literally ahead of everybody else, and we struggled with everything that came after.
Yeah, and a lot of shit came after, literally.
A lot of shit,
A lot of
really. Even more so than you found down in the sewer of Paris. There was a lot of shit. There's no doubt.
All right, so let's see. Nothing really too crazy happens there, except when Lenny and Karen get to the bike shop and they
Make
see
sure the dog doesn't come up here, Andrew.
the
Go
doctors.
at the front door if you want.
The doctors, they're at the front door.
Yeah, your bike's out on the side.
So Frank and Margarita do the fast forward. Frank gets really excited. No problem, brother. Frank gets really excited. Hey, and the pit stop they find is at the Taj Mahal Hotel, which is in Agra, India, which I got to go to on my season of The Amazing Race. It's 4,000 miles away, the pit stop. So that's a pretty far distance to travel to go to a pit stop.
That's a big pit stop.
In one leg, yeah. That might be the furthest anybody's ever traveled in one leg, 4,000.
Yep.
So they wind up, obviously winning very easily because they get a huge lead, heading straight off to another country while everybody's fighting for it. A few minutes later, they just show the ride ending. All right, Joe and Bill finish their bike ride to get the next clue. Now, teams must fly to Delhi, India, and make their way to the Red Fort. And since there's no international airport there, teams have to decide whether they're going to take a train to Rome or Milan. And Joe and Bill, who are travelers, they understand that Rome is a bigger, more international airport, and they decide to head to Rome. Kevin and Drew are the last team to get to the railway, and they find their next clue there. Drew, Emily, and Karen and Lenny all attempt to hold the train while Kevin and Nancy are trying to get on. Kevin is on the phone. How long did this phone call take? It seemed really dramatic. How long were they holding this train for you?
I would say holding the train, like actually stopping it, probably for between 5 and 7 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty.
I was on the phone for a solid half hour.
Holy cow!
Yeah, because we figured out. We said, okay, well, yeah, getting to Rome, they're gonna get there first, but if we go to Milan and then grab something out of Milan, we could get there as close or maybe before them. But the key was to get that train. If we didn't get that train, we were sunk. And so I was on that train, and I'm trying to make reservations for everybody when we get to the airport so that we can all get on the flight that we need to get to. You can hear me on TV yell at. I'm telling Karen, right? Because you think of a train station, right? And so I'm up here, and then to go onto the other side, you have to go down the stairs underneath the tracks and then back up.
Ugh.
So I'm yelling down the stairs. I'm yelling to them. I'm saying, tell Drew, don't let the train go. Just tell him, cause a distraction. And so, I'm holding on the phone. I'm kind of like, listen, I gotta go. Please, confirm. And so at some point, they got on and, they were holding everything up. And I would say a solid 5 minutes. They held everything up. And then I ran down, ran under, ran back up.
That's good strategy, though.
Yeah, because you're trying your best at this point. Now we're working with 3 other teams, and so we're trying to get everybody kind of in the same boat. And so we get up to the train, and I remember we got on the train. I don't remember if they showed it on the show, but I went and I asked one of the people on the train to use their phone, and then called ahead to confirm that we were okay to go, and so that was kind of it was a gamble, but it paid off, and so we lost, we didn't fall that far behind.
All right, so one team was heading to Rome, one team heading to Milan, and they're all meeting in Copenhagen. Didn't see that one coming. They're all basically going to be getting on the same flight heading to Copenhagen. Everybody except Frank and Margarita, who were ways ahead of everybody else. So they all got reunited and a nice little bunch point right before they get to the hecticness that is India. Now, one thing that for us when we did the show, India, out of every place that we went to,
stinks.
Well, yes, it changed our perspective on a lot of things, more so than anywhere else we ever went to. walking into a train station it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and there's hundreds of people laying outside of the train station underneath the lights because the lights keep them safe. So they were sleeping there, and we were literally having to walk over them with the camera guys to try to not to hit them to get to the place where the tickets were.
It's kind of like Grand Central.
Yeah, it's Grand Central with none of the rich people. You know, the Grand Central.
People who wear shoes.
Oh yeah, there's very few people with shoes here. So you get a lot of different perspective. Kids sitting there in their ripped underwear, ripped shirts, no shoes, running around kicking rocks, smiling, having a good time. It's definitely the biggest perspective change for us on the race. And if you're not prepared for it, ultimate culture shock, as we see with Nancy and Emily just getting overwhelmed when they get into that rickshaw. All right, so let's get there. Everybody gets to Delhi. Everybody gets to India, and then they meet this guy, and he shows them, gives them the clue, and inside this clue box is a model of the Taj Mahal and the clue. I don't know if it was the edit, but it seemed like nobody really paid attention to the model of the Taj Mahal. People just grabbed the clue. Everybody except the Guidos? Is that right, Kev?
You know what? I mean, listen, the Guidos, you know, they played themselves off as being these worldly guys. Obviously, I knew that Taj Mahal was in India, but when I'm in this rickshaw and the guy is taking me through this, you know, this crowded market, and I'm on the back, and there's people literally on either side of us, and we're just kind of going through at this, you know, quicker pace than all these other people. When we got to this guy, you know, he was like, the stand was like literally right here. All I had to turn this
It was
way.
a closet.
And yeah, it was literally like a storefront, you know, like literally what you see now with COVID and everything. Everybody has the tables right in front.
Yeah.
That's what it was like in India. We literally pull up in front. We're like, oh, hello. And the guy comes out and he goes, here you go. Here's your next clue, right? With a little box.
Right.
And I grab the paper and I'm like, all right, thanks, bud. See you later. And he closes the box and I look and it says, you know, go to Agra or go to Tashkema.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. I'm like, I say to the guy, I'm like, you know where this is? And he gives me one of the, you know, like shakes his head. And I go, okay. And so off we go. And we go back to Red Fort where everybody is still waiting there. And I guess, you know, whoever Lenny and Karen, they were already there by then. Frank and Margarita obviously were on their way. I almost said it like Joey, and I said, obviously they were on. I guess Rob and Brennan. So everybody had kind of gotten there around the same time. Nancy was still, or Emily was still waiting for Nancy, and I could tell she was visibly upset.
Yeah.
I remember Drew saying, you know, they captured on camera. He said, these little kids, they look right through you.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was just so true because you're like, you see these kids and they're just like, I don't know. I mean, it's sad. It's, you know, you're like, oh God, your heart breaks for them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're like, dude, I have like, you know, $41 in my pocket, and I don't know if I'm gonna need that to buy a hotel room or a flight or, you know, like a train or whatever. And so you're like, I can't give you any money right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Maybe after I win $1 million, I'll come back and I'll give you.
It's tough.
It was terrible. It really was. I remember we were giving them, like, you know, we had food from the plane, and we were giving them the food from the plane, and like candy bars that we had bought. But you know, we didn't have any money to give them.
Yeah, we gave them a ton of protein bars we had.
Yeah, I was surprised that they showed so much of that.
Yeah.
Like the kid carrying a little kid who was all banged up. Because we had the same thing in Dar es Salaam. They were just wheeling people out on boards, these rickety things they made. They looked like they dug them out of the ground. They looked like zombies. And I'm like, holy shit, they didn't show any of that on us. And when I saw it on yours, I know India has a lot of that. And I was just like, holy shit, it's just big. I thought I was going to start listening to Sarah McLachlan in the background. And, you know, maybe see the little kid with the flies on.
Well, I mean, that's what they were going for. They wanted you to see the differences of places throughout the world. And they love going to India because there's nothing like that. The rickshaws, there's no traffic laws, there's no... The people are everywhere. You hardly see any women anywhere. Like, it's so weird and creepy. And if you just stop and look around and you're like, wait, the women are all up above in like windows looking down. None of them are on the streets, and none of them are equal. It's so crazy.
I
There's
felt
not.
for Nancy and Emily.
Yeah,
For them for this whole thing because they're from
Yeah,
Texas and they're conservative Christians. And
yeah.
I was, just watching their reactions was like, oh. I'm like,
And we had no idea that was going on at the time, like when I came back and I saw Emily and she's like, "Did you see my mom? Did you see my mom?" And I'm like, "I know she was behind me, but I mean, look, mass hysteria. It's a powder keg of humanity. I don't know where she is. She's on the back of a rickshaw, and I'm sure she's fine, because she was with, she's with the camera guy, so that, she's gonna be all right. But when you're waiting there and you're like, where the hell is she? And then we saw how Emily just melted down, and it was just, you just wanted to hug her, like, oh God, this is just so terrible.
Yeah, so Nancy was having problems there, and then even when she got finished with it, jumped in the cab and then saw all the people, and then she really
we're
lost.
going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Everyone, even you, Kevin and Drew, why didn't you guys just drive? Like everyone, I know everyone was hoarding, but I was watching it. And I'm like, drive, just go. They were like, we don't have anything for you. Do you know where this is? And clearly they were like, do you know where this is? That's all they get.
Yeah.
And you did it a couple. I don't know, it was Kevin or you or Drew. We were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. It was kind of like what I was talking about in Stone City when I said, hey, your head's on fire. The guy's like, yeah, and I was like, stop the cab. So you figured out that he didn't know what you were talking about.
No.
With all these people, with all this chaos around you guys, and I was like jumping off my couch going, tell the fucking guy to drive out of there, and then figure it out later.
Yeah.
Just get out of that, because you can feel the stress you guys are going through.
Yep, and in retrospect, that would have been. I mean, like, look, just let's figure it out. Just go. But we kept saying to him, do you know where this is? Tajima, and not knowing at that point in time that it was like 5 hours north.
Yeah.
And that Tajima was this shitty little hotel outside of the Taj Mahal. If we knew, take us to the Taj Mahal in Agra, the guy would have been like, oh yeah.
Everybody know, yeah.
Exactly. But like, if you tell somebody, there's a Super 8 next to Mount Rushmore, and you're like,
yeah,
Dave Super 8, everybody's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it was kind of, it was one of those things where they got us on that one, right? And had anybody thought about it and said, oh, well, the box, it's got the statue of the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
This must be where this Taj Kema is. But we didn't just, no.
First season, nobody knows to look for those things. I mean, obviously, those are the type of things that that gave my team the advantages, because I picked up on all the little things because I was a super fan. Anything that was in quotes, that was written into clues, anything that was bolded, things that were capitalized, all of the little things, I noticed those things because I studied it like it was my job.
How many times did you hear this over 25 seasons? Read your clues.
Oh, it was one of our 10 commandments.
These poor sons of bitches that had no one to tell them that.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely one of those situations where we at home, we're getting frustrated because, like, how do you not know this in my foot? It's the clue. It is the clue. It's everyone grabbed a little paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, that's one of those things where being a Monday morning quarterback or a couch quarterback, head coach, whatever, that's one of the things that gets frustrated about as a fan watching.
Yeah. What did you think about Lenny and Karen? They leave their cab. They don't pay the full cab. The cab driver lied to them, said he knew he was going, and then tried to charge them money. And they gets angry. Karen is like the man in that relationship, and she takes over and just goes off on him.
I don't think Lenny's got much of a spine in him.
Yeah, listen, I can tell you this. I can tell you, Lenny's the man. Lenny is the man. He's the most laid-back cat you'd ever want to meet.
He looks like it.
That's this problem, I think.
And Karen is the exact opposite, right? Karen is just the most aggressive. She's an attorney, a pain in the ass. She's just, like one of these people who's like, if you ask her, you want a cup of coffee? She says, yeah. You're not back in 30 seconds. She's going, I thought you were getting me a cup of coffee. Where is it? I'm waiting.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like. I mean, poor Lenny took a beating on a couple of those.
Yeah, he did.
And he's just the nicest guy. He's the most laid-back dude. I still talk to him to this day.
Do you?
That's awesome.
I said I was sorry then.
Yeah.
I was shitting on him early on.
We can only respond to what we see.
He laughs about it now because
Good.
he realizes, you know what, this was just one of those things. But
Yeah. Are they still together?
No.
oh God, no!
Oh no, they broke up right after.
Well, during this episode.
Oh, that's right. Well, I didn't know if it was, is that,
Right
did
right
they literally, that was it?
Right at the end
Yeah.
of this episode, she kind of said,
Yeah.
I don't think this, but I don't want to jump ahead.
No,
No,
it's,
I saw that.
it's 20 years ago. There's no spoiler alerts, really. I mean,
Yeah, no spoiler alerts now, but yeah, so no, they have not been together. So,
Well, spoiler alert, I looked up Amy. Apparently, she's quite the Hollywood little knickknack there.
she's going to be joining us.
she's
No
a
shit.
spiritual icon, Amy Borsky. Yeah,
I thought she's got like
Something else.
she's done a bunch of movies and shit. She was in Austin Powers.
she was. Yeah, she was a Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader before she even went on The Amazing Race.
Is she still with?
No.
I can't.
Paul, no, Paul and Amy split a bunch of years ago.
Yeah, Paul looks so different now. It's like he's got the big beard, really dark hair, bright blue eyes. Like he doesn't look like the same person.
Paul's let me tell you, Paul's a handsome guy, but with that beard and like the look he has, right, he looks like a fucking maniac.
He does.
And it's like I think that's all for the movies because he just looks like a nut. But
He does.
he's actually he's from Queens. He's a fun guy.
We've been busting his ass the whole.
I've been busting his balls since
He's,
episode one.
He's
It's like,
a lot of fun. He's a good dude, Paul. He's really a lot of fun. But Amy's like now she's like all into the spiritual peace and love and yoga, and she has all social media and all.
There you go. Get some crystals.
They did a couple of really good movies together, like independent movies.
Yeah.
And Paul was a star in one of them, and I forget what the hell the movie was, but it was
She's producing a bunch of them too. Yeah.
it was called Knuckle Draggers. And he was
starring Paul.
and I swear to God, he was the best in the movie. He was in the movie with Cuba Gooding's. It was Cuba Gooding's brother, Cuba Gooding's brother, and then this other dude was
Who's
the star.
that? Haiti Gooding?
It's Cuba not so gooding.
Not so Gooding. The other guy was he was in a bunch of good movies too, and he was the lead. But Paul stole the show. And if you ever look up the trailer for Knuckle Draggers,
I
you'll
got
see
it.
Paul, and every funny line in the trailer, a minute long, belongs to Paul. Steals the show. And
Really?
this is before he had the long beard and looking like a caveman. He killed in that movie. Don't get too excited, Justin. You'll find it. Don't worry.
Knuckle draggies, eh?
I think that's it. Knuckle Draggers. And it was.
I got it right here. Hold on. Let's play it while we're here. What the hell?
Is that a Mets shirt?
Yeah. Of course it is.
No, you're the one.
Let's go Mets.
All right. Let's go. All right. You want to watch this? Let's watch this.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We'll put it right over the chat here.
So, how did the interview go?
Funny you should ask.
What the hell's happening?
Here, I'm gonna play the trailer since we're talking
I don't
about.
think my ColecoVision can take this.
Well, you're gonna have to get over
You
it.
don't know what a ColecoVision is.
I had a ColecoVision. You forget I'm old, bro.
I couldn't afford a ColecoVision. How old are
Well,
you?
my
You just turned like 35 or something, didn't you?
I'll be 45 this year, bro. All right, let's watch this. We'll see what happens.
A little up in the air right now.
I can't live paycheck to paycheck the rest of my life.
All I see is
I
us.
need you to stick with me through this. All right, I promise things will get better.
You're
I
not
feel
watching
like
us.
the news just went to commercial and we're all just kind of like,
Well, this is for the YouTube channel. You guys can't see this unless you're watching the
hold on, I
YouTube.
got that up over here. Hold on.
Well, you're listening for the funny lines anyway. I'll let you know when
there
it's
it
in.
is.
There comes a time when you kind of just let it go.
And you should
She's way
definitely
too
know the
amazing
guy,
for
like
me
the
to
lead
deserve
guy.
so much
He
better.
should look
I never
familiar
liked
to
her.
you.
Yeah.
But it's your fault she left.
Looks like my first apartment.
And
Bro,
Cuba
you don't act
Gooding's,
like a man. It was
not so
bound to
Gooding's
happen. The way
cousin
women see
is,
it, they can walk
you
all
can
over
tell
you
him he
so
looks
can
just like
everybody
him.
else.
You do realize I haven't been on a date in 3 years, right? Before I forget, thanks for coming.
What the fuck is that?
I love you.
Yeah, but thanks
There he is.
for clearing your schedule. Why you help me out, huh?
On one condition.
Kyle's taking me out for some field training, some part of his program.
Do not look interested in her. Do not smile at her.
When you talk to her, look around at other girls. Now follow my lead.
Nice. You're back in the game.
I can't. All right, we got to move on. Well, what? Copyright violation. It's not a copyright violation. It's a trailer. It's a movie trailer that they put out to be seen. They want people to see it. You don't have to pay to watch a movie trailer. We will not get copyright violated. But thank you, Dale. Appreciate it for worrying about the show.
Dale,
Bruh.
Jesus Christ, you're a better guy than that, you piece of shit.
You piece of shite. All right, here we go. Nancy and Emily are breaking down. They're shocked. They can't believe what it is that's happening around them, and they just want to drive away. They understand, and it is not something like that is easy to deal with, especially if you got a kind heart to look those poor hungry kids in the eye, and knowing you have money and you're not going to give it to them. You bunch of greedy bastards. All right, so nobody understands that they have to go to Agra, India to see the Taj Mahal, so everybody's having a tough time trying to find it. It's 100 miles away, so it's going to take everybody a while to get there. Kevin and Drew, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Kevin, Drew, Nancy, I got Kay, got there. Joe, Emily, Fort. Sorry, I scrolled past the wrong part. Sorry. Okay. So both think that they're too. All right. So what happens is let's finish the episode here. I mean, really, there's really nothing else interesting that happens. So Frank and Margarita first place, and you got Joe and Bill. I mean, it's literally the same exact order from the last episode. Frank, Margarita, Joe, Bill, Rob, Brennan, Kevin, Drew, Nancy, Emily, and then Lenny and Karen, who both realize that they are opposites. They're not meant for each other, and their relationship's not going to work out. And they end the race, end their relationship. And how do you feel?
What are they dating for? He didn't even seem like a kid.
How long are they? I don't remember how long they were dating. It was a while, though.
I mean, he like you said, he was so laid back. He's like, whatever she says.
Yeah. If that's the worst that can happen, I'll be all right.
Yeah, right. Do I have to bring back the snazzy matching jacket?
Matching jackets. You're right. Good point. I'll tell you what's. Now I don't know. I don't know if any of the other contestants told you, but you guys know Sequesterville, right?
Yep.
So back in the first season, there really was no Sequesterville. Everybody was flown into Paris, which is where they had to stay. Right? Had to stay. They had to stay in Paris while the race was continuing, and I think that this might have been one of the only races, if any, right? Because before, at this point, it was a non-entity. Nobody knew what the Amazing Race was, so they just gave them some stipend money and let them travel around Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. So they just went. They went to Paris and they kind of got debriefed, I guess, and then they said, okay, look, it's $500, a week. And then they said, okay, can we go here? And so they traveled around city to city in Europe, which was
so cool.
like a lot of fun.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where did you guys have to stay when you were Sequesterville?
Never got eliminated. We both finished second, but
oh, why are you guys so special?
Thanks for watching.
Second place, yeah.
It was in Barcelona for the rest of the people.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't bad, right? I bet they all said it was pretty good.
Oh, they had a great time, yeah.
I think ours was in Tuscany, I want to say.
Yeah, yours was in Italy.
No, you can't get a room in Tuscany.
No, there was a giant villa. They had.
Don't even try. There's nothing available in Tuscany.
No, I won't.
You guys are not Seinfeld fans, are you?
No.
Not at all.
The whole Seinfeld episode right there.
I know my wife's a huge Seinfeld fan. I don't get it.
I never seen
Well,
it once.
You don't get it? Are you kidding me?
I don't get it. It's not funny.
This first season, we'd never made it to Sequesterville either. So it's nice to say, like, yeah, we didn't get there.
Yeah,
But,
all of us.
we got eliminated. Blah, blah. I don't want to get into it.
You got eliminated?
I'm
All right.
not saying a word.
Oh.
I'm not saying a word.
Joey doesn't know the outcome.
Didn't we just agree it was 20 years ago?
It is 20 years ago, but he doesn't know the outcome. He doesn't know the outcome. All right, so let's get to some of the questions. Before we do that, I'm sorry. Before we do that, Joey, let's get your awards. We got some awards we give out here at the end of the episodes. What do you got for me?
Oh, the holy shitballs moment?
Yeah, the holy
That would
shitballs
have
moment.
To be, I'm going to have to say it was when collectively everyone as a group not only missed the Taj Mahal thing, as he said, because I think, Kevin, please correct me if I'm wrong, that when you got the road info, it said, go and he will show you where to go. Is that what it said? Because they kept saying, like,
Yes.
they kept saying that. So
You know,
when he
I don't
went like
remember-
this is where you need to be. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, nobody got that. And then the whole drive away from the crowd of people.
Yeah,
And
so I
then
think-
figure it out.
I
That was
think
my.
that was So there was apprehension on behalf of everybody that went there to stay and ask questions. All you wanted to do was get the hell out of there because it was mass confusion. But you know, like when they said to you at the Red Fort, jump in a rickshaw and go, and he's going to show you where to go. Everybody forgot by the time you got there. You
Right.
forgot about it.
Yeah.
And it was
just,
like, you know what? I'm like, the guy's giving me another piece of paper. All I got to do is get this and get back to the parking lot. And I'll be out of this
Yeah.
mass humanity, and that was it. So yeah, so that definitely was, as far as shitballs go, that was definitely probably as shitballs as you can get in that.
And one of the best things I loved about you and Drew, Kevin, was at the very, very beginning of the race when he said go. You guys, hey. And you guys walked over to you. They were fumbling up the stairs and tripping over. You guys walked off like Muppets. You're like,
we just kind of did it right.
Kind of just sashayed off.
Right.
Here's my shit.
We're like, look, we're racing around the world.
Yeah.
Are we really gonna think this first 100 yards or so is gonna be that important, where we have to look like idiots and run up the stairs, like with our hair on fire, even though neither one of us had hair? But that was, like we said that right off the bat. Like, look, everybody else is gonna tear out of here. Let's just walk like gentlemen, and that's what we did.
I like that. Classy move.
That's so funny. All right, and my Superfan Award goes to you, man. I think that what you did at the train station, working together as a team, holding up the train, getting the tickets, I think that is a super clutch move, and I think that helped everybody stay together, whereas it could have gotten ugly if you guys missed the train or didn't secure those tickets. So I'm going to give you that Superfan Award. So congratulations. Let's get to some of the questions. We got a ton of them here. A bunch of them submitted on social media. If you want to submit, put them in the live chat right now, and I'll grab them. All right. Was there a route info to start this leg? It just looked like some of the teams had the blue info cards when they departed. Was it just the detour? Because I thought it was the detour and the roadblock. I mean, the detour and the fast forward when you opened it up. It was no route info, correct? But he said
I was going to say, that somebody's really paying attention. I mean, keep in mind that when we left, we were leaving. First of all, how about a little round of applause for the lovely Sarah of Santa Gata in Italy?
Oh,
I mean,
the one everybody wanted to marry.
Wowza.
Jesus. Now, we didn't even talk about the car. Jesus Christ.
The race car was unbelievable. That was great.
That was nice.
That was great. And the best part about it was we said, going into this, two things Drew would always do. He would always drive because he thinks he's like Dirty Harry. And he'll always eat because he is a Kevon. And even though I'm a little chubbier than he is, he could put me away with any. So we said going into it, he's going to eat and he's going to drive no matter what we do, any challenge, anything. So when we read the thing back before this episode and it said, one of you must get in and navigate your way, we said, okay, Drew, you're the driver, you jump in. And of course, he gets in this little freaking jalopy that's like the little Tykes version of a real car, and he has to do that. And then I get in the race car, and the race car was amazing. I mean, the guy that drove, he was like a professional race car driver, and we were literally in the countryside of Italy, and the roads were like a Grand Prix course, and he was going well over 150 miles an hour. It was insanity. I was pinned to the seat. It was just fantastic. But when we got to the square, and there's this beautiful Italian woman, I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Thank you, Bertram. Thank you, Bertram.
Her picture is on the Netflix or whatever the hell I'm watching it on. So, it's usually one of you guys dirty mugs up there, and then I'm like,
right.
I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Right, where did she come from?
Yeah, I'm like, is this like a late entry?
I'm rooting for her team.
Exactly. Whoever she's with, I'm rooting for them.
I'm rooting for that team. Go team. All right, 2. How did your guest appearance come about on season 8? You played a hot dog vendor on the Family Edition?
We did play hot dog vendor. So that was great, right? It was And I remember talking. It was Elise that called us and asked us if we wanted to do it. And when she called, the first thing I thought of was, "Holy shit! This is the first All Star. This is it." And she goes, "No, no, 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 no. It's not what you're thinking. It's not what you're thinking. We're doing a family version, and we want you guys to be, a root mark or whatever." Blah, blah. And we were like, "Of course, well, definitely, we would love to do it. It's in New York City, right?" And I think that was, even though I'm a Jersey guy, we were most closely associated with being New York guys. So yeah, we did it, and it was great. And talk about humble. We're standing there, and we're giving all the clues to all these families. Not one of them recognized us until the young Paolo kid, whatever the Paolo family. He came out and he's like, "Oh my God, you guys are Kevin and Drew." And we're like, "Hey,
Hey, finally!
You want a hot dog?" and so that was it. But I remember it was just so exciting to be back, kind of like with the Amazing Race and seeing all the people and seeing Phil and Bert and Elise, and there's a helicopter over our head, and it was insane. So it was just great. It was just, I think, it was just luck of the draw, right? They needed somebody, and they asked us to do it.
Didn't I see you on an All Stars that my mother was watching?
We were on the first All Star.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, she's well past that now.
Absolutely. With my boy Boston Rob.
Boston Rob, legend, icon. He's got stories.
Boston Rob, exactly.
He's going to tell us a story after these questions we get into. So let's speed through these questions. I got some stuff we want to get to. All right, what was the race like? Okay, loved you guys on the show and still think you're up for the funniest to ever be on the show with the swing, you fat bastard. Was that planned, or did you just make that up on the spot? Is that the way you guys talk to each other?
That's the way we always talk to each other, like, "Come on, look at you fat bastard, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah." And then when he jumped off, I mean, he's yelling, "Oh my God, Kev, oh my God." The first thing I thought of was, "Swing, you fat bastard, swing." Because I mean, like, here he is, right? My best friend, and he's literally swinging back and forth over this gorge in Africa. And what else do I say to him? Like, "Have fun, Drew," like that. We don't talk to each other like that. So yeah, I just gave it to him. "Hey, swing, you fat bastard, swing."
How do you compare your experiences from Zach? How do you compare your experiences from season 1 to season 11? I know season 11 was kind of brutal for you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say shitty, but brutal is probably the same thing. Yeah, so there was no comparison. Obviously, the first season was absolutely amazing. Yeah, we got to see things and go places that we had never dreamed of. And so it was for us. It was a dream come true. The All Stars was an absolute nightmare. Drew was all banged up, and just couldn't participate the way that we did in the first season. And so the after part of this. So P.S. I got married before we left. I got married April 30th of 05. We left probably in November of 07. Drew was also married at the time. But just before we left to go on the All Stars, my wife became pregnant.
Aww.
And it was by me. I was
Nice.
gonna say, we became pregnant, but I know a lot of guys look at you.
Yeah, you'll get hammered for that one.
Did you really become pregnant, you asshole? So yeah.
I impregnated her.
Exactly. So look at me. Boom, 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 boom. So
it works.
So hey, well, this is. I'll show you exactly how much. We have triplets, so it's a triple shot, if you will.
Jeez.
Shit, that's a wake up.
So yeah, so I found out just before we were leaving that my wife was pregnant, but they told her at the time, they were like, "Hey, listen, your levels are really high. There's probably going to be more than one." So I left not knowing how many kids we were going to have, and didn't find out until we got back.
Wow.
So, and when I came back, my wife said, "You're never going to believe this. It's more than one." And I'm like, "Twins, that's amazing. It's going to be so great." She's like, "No, it's not twins." And immediately, like all the color. That's when I lost all my hair. I had a full hair head. And she's like, "Yeah, we're going to have triplets." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So, and they just turned 13, which is unbelievable to me.
Boys, girls?
That was 13 years since the first since the only All-Star. We didn't get asked back. We did so shitty in the All-Star. We never got asked back. The fucking Harlem Globetrotters were on 3 times. The Cowboys were on 3 times.
Yeah.
Me and Drew were on once. Well, twice, but still.
I was like, come on, there's very few. There's only like 2 or 3 teams.
You guys set the bar for friends, though. Best friends. Look at all the best friends
thought
that came
at
after
the bar as well, but apparently Burton and Elise didn't agree. So,
The bar was low. It was a low bar.
We got 1 shot, and they were like, okay, you didn't exceed the bar the second time around.
Our friend Julia wants to know, how did you like your edit? And second question, have you ever broken anyone's legs?
That was a bullshit thing that he did at the end.
Drew was the guy who threatened to break the Greedo's legs, and I fully supported him with that. I would have at the time, we were so mad at those fucking guys, but afterwards, we were all friends. It was
for
all
them,
fun.
at the end of that show, though, for them to compare that to domestic violence was totally inappropriate. That was ridiculous.
They were being ridiculous. That was
a little bit dramatic.
But yeah, I think at that point they realized how shitty they were going to look in their edit, and so then they started trying to point fingers. But in terms of edit, kind of what we were talking about earlier, I think that in terms of the edit, if you will, we were captured exactly the way that we were throughout the entire race. If you come off looking like a douchebag in your edit, you gave them douchebag moments to put on TV.
Yeah.
And if you gave them douchebag moments, you were a douchebag. And so we tried our best not to. Justin, so I just think listen, the Guidos chose to be douchebags sometimes.
Yep.
And that's the way they came off, right? And so at the end, they kind of get their comeuppance, and maybe that's as a result of the decision.
Oh, so they don't win either. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, see, we're spoiling everything.
Joey, yeah, close your ears for the next question. You might want to take your headphones off for this one. Okay. What was the race like at the pit stop with you and the Guidos in China? How did they get ahead? And was it as close as it appeared?
It was as close as it appeared. That was one of the things, right? When they talk about edits and all these things, like that happens, for example, on Survivor, and I'm sure in other seasons of The Amazing Race, they can edit things to make it look a lot closer than it really is. But that one was pretty close. I mean, we showed up about 5 minutes after they hit the finish line.
Dang.
So it was really that close.
How'd they get ahead?
We talk about it like when you talk to other people who are on the race.
Yeah.
We always say it's not the amazing race, it's the great taxi race. Because if you get the right taxi driver or you get the right taxi, you can get to where you need to go a lot faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
And if you get a shitty driver and so that's what happened to us. And we jumped out of the car to try and make it. And it just was one of those things that was like, hey, you know what? We lost. It's time to go home.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for ruining that.
I was told to ask you from our previous guest about kingfishers in India.
Kingfishers in India. So was that Big Frank who?
Yes, that was Frank.
So the best part of our time in India, right after we did all this traveling and we went to Taj Mahal, and then we had to go to the Palace of Rats after, and we end up going, and they put us up in the royal family's vacation palace.
Wow.
Right? And it is like nothing that you've ever been. Everything marble and granite, all gold fixtures in the bathroom. We had a butler for our room, and the best part was I tell this story to everybody, and it's like the funniest thing ever. The butler kept coming in and asking Drew if he wanted a massage. He never asked me if I wanted a massage. He'd come in, he'd be like, "What do you want for breakfast?" And then he'd bring breakfast, and he'd go, "Can I give you a massage?" And Drew would be like, "No, I'm good. But he never asked me. I would have taken the massage. I would have been like, "Yeah, sure. Let me just finish this omelet, and I'll be right with you." But this beautiful vacation palace that we stayed at, and we got stuck there because when we go to the next location, spoiler alert, I won't tell you what it is, when we get to the next location, there was an issue with visas or production or something. So we got held up at this beautiful palace for, I think it was 72 hours. So it was 3 nights.
Oh, wow.
So it was great. It was great. It was super luxury. And each night we would go up on top of the palace and you'd look out and, you could see for miles with all the lights and stuff. And we'd literally just sit up there and drink Kingfisher beers. And what's great about the beers in other places around the world, the normal size is like the 40 ounce that you get, if you live in Bushwick and you go and you have a 40. Those are the regular size beers over there. So we drank these Kingfisher beers like they were going out of style. And then the best part was, right after 3 days, we kept putting them on Joe and Bill's room, and they didn't know. And so they got the bill at the end of the time. They went to Bill and Joe, and they're like, "You guys drank 40 Kingfisher beers or whatever it was?" And they're like, "No, and us." And we were all laughing our asses off.
That's so great.
Hey, guys, I got to take off. I got a Tar 29 Zoom reunion to head off to. It started.
Oh, look at you. Big shot,
well,
huh?
I got some things in there, some irons in the fire, and I got to get after it.
Good.
Hopefully you come back again, Kev, and it was awesome talking.
I would love to, Joe. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
Come
it.
for the finale. It'll be great.
That would be
a
awesome.
finale.
I'll be here.
All right, Papa. Well, take care, guys.
Nice. Later, Joe. All right, Kev. Anybody else got any questions? Kev, is there anything that you want to clear up? Anything that may have been in the past, like maybe misconstrued? Some things that maybe somebody had said to you, or that?
No, you know what? Thankfully, we got a really good. I think we got a really good shake, a really good fair shake on how we came across on TV. I think it was exactly the way that we are in real life. We got a little bit of shit about the All Star. Which was, it was one of those things where we just didn't do as well as we could have, and it was one of, believe me, I really wanted to go further in that one, but it just wasn't in the cards. But what we were talking about earlier before we were on was our Sequester was in Acapulco.
Yeah.
And of course John Vito and Jill, they were the first eliminated, and then we were the second eliminated, and so we went there and we had this beautiful, I don't know what you would call it, oceanside villa. It was built into a mountain. It was in one of the drug movies, Blow or Keel, whatever it was. It was in one of those movies. Beautiful. We had a staff that was like cooking and cleaning for us all day. We had a pool. So we literally, our job for 3 weeks was to sit there and drink and swim. Now, of course, I know my wife is home and pregnant, and I'm dying to find out. And I can't call or go on the internet or anything like that. So that's killing me. And the fact that we got kicked out was killing me. So not the team after us, but the team after that was Rob and Amber. So when Rob got there, it was me, him, and John Vito. And we went golfing, and we would hang out all day, and we would drink beers. And then we pooled all our money, and we told the production people to get us all of the DVDs of The Sopranos. So we watched like 6 seasons of The Sopranos while we were there, or 7 seasons, however many it was, while we were there. And that's like one of the funniest things. We would sit there in the air conditioning, drink beer all day, go out in the pool, and then go out back at night and watch more episodes of The Sopranos. It was fantastic.
Was that when you guys were getting filmed? Is that when there was Elimination Station? Was it cameras?
Station, yeah. In fact, I was surprised that it's still online. If you go to CBS, you can still get that. In fact, I just had that migrated to mine and Drew's website, kevinanddrew.com. And so those episodes are all on there. And it was funny to like look back. We had Dave and Mary and Ian and Ian's wife's name.
Terry.
Ian and Terry. They were there. You know what? We had a good group of people there. We had a lot of fun for 3 weeks. Nobody else came there after the fact. It was just the 5 teams. And then we had to move out and we had to go up to United States where the finish line was. But, I was bitter. But at the same time, I had a good, we had fun. We made the best of it. And then we got to be on TV through Eliminate Station. So it was kind of cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, I wish they would have continued to do that. Well, you're an awesome dude, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Everybody seemed to really enjoy you. I love it when people come on and they are who I expected them to be. I say that a lot with my guests, but you're always welcome on if you want to fill in as a guest host, if you just want to come on and talk shit about somebody, whatever. This is a platform for amazing racers, and you're part of the Racers Recap family, so thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. It was really nice of you to reach out to me. I'm sorry I couldn't do it back a couple weeks ago.
No, all good.
I was on vacation, but I'm glad we got to hook up here. I would love to come on again, and talking shit about people is kind of what I do best. So
nice.
I'm always up for that. It's always a lot of fun, especially when it's somebody good to break balls on. So I'm in. Anytime you need me, you let me know. I would love to be back on.
Nice. Maybe we'll have you be one of the hosts for the All-Star season. No, maybe you don't want to relive that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right, brother. Well, I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for spending your time with us. I know it's the most valuable thing that you have, and for you to spend it with me and us means so much. So thank you, and I hope that we gave you some entertainment and what it is that you wanted from this, a little break from the world, just a little enjoyment. So I really appreciate each and every one of you. You have a special place in my heart, so thank you very much. I hope to see you next week, where we will have, I think we're going to have Amy next week. If it's not Amy, it's Karen. One of the two of them will be next week's show.
Uh-oh. Fasten your seatbelts, people.
Maybe I'll get some inside scoop from you off camera to ask them. All right, everybody else, appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by, but mainly stay classy.
Take care, Jack.
All right.